Hey, this is Ford Saeks. I'm so glad everybody's back here for another live Fortify Live. And we're in for a special treat today. I've got a featured guest, and I'm not going to wait any longer. I'm going to bring in our featured guest on Fortify Live today. And our featured guest is Darren LaCroix. Darren, welcome to the program today.
Hey, thanks for having me, Ford. I'm thrilled. It's exciting. Like you interviewing me. How cool is that?
Yeah, so we're live on multiple platforms. So I just want to encourage all the listeners, or whether you're here live or not, if you have any questions for Darren and I on the topic that we're covering, you can just type them into the chat below, and we'll cover them on future live events. So certainly we'll try to answer them live as we're going also. So Darren, so tell me, I just want to jump right into it. You know, as keynote speakers ourselves, you know, you're a world champion of public speaking and a very successful keynote speaker. And I'm a keynote speaker. And, you know, one of the things that we always run up against as speakers is our clients say, well, one, why should they hire speakers? Why do speakers cost so much? Why should we pay for a speaker when we can find someone for free? So I'm just curious, what are your thoughts around that topic? Why should corporations, franchise events, association events, why should they hire a professional speaker?
Well, if they're going to invest so much into the event, why would you not invest into the content? So if you got people coming from around the world, around the country, even just around town, all the way to your event, what's the purpose of the event? And if you want to transfer value, then you got to have somebody who knows what they're doing, who can feed them, give them a new perspective, and get them to want to come back. You know, part of the best marketing is they have a great experience. They're going to want to come back again. And so many presenters are freaking boring. Boring loses business. So no matter what the event, it's about the experience. So why not invest in the content for your people?
Yeah, I really think that's really important as a key factor because, you know, our keynote fees are, you know, in the 5 figures. So people can Google us if you want to know what our fees are. Just Google my name. Our names are right on the screen. You can see what our fees are. So we'll talk about fees later. But the important thing is, why should they invest thousands of dollars to bring a keynote speaker in? And just like you said, it's about member value or attendee value or staff value, right? So whether it's a corporate event and you have your team, or whether it's a public event, or whether you have a franchise event or a corporation, a convention, whatever it is, it's about the value. And what's always scary to me is, you know, the pendulum has swung both ways. For a while there, you know, TEDx was really popular and the TEDx format was really popular. And all events we're looking for TEDx speakers. And that's great. TEDx speakers are great. But TEDx at a conference doesn't necessarily give you the depth of value, doesn't give them specific action steps that they can take. And so a lot of conferences shifted back the other way to come back to, you know, keynotes. And of course, going through COVID, it was all virtual, and now it's coming back to live events. But the biggest thing I would tell anybody listening, if you work for a corporation or you're a meeting professional or a meeting planner, the real reason that you want to pay for a professional is you're going to get a professional experience. Why would you risk the investment of your conference just to fill slots and save, you know, so you saved a few $1,000s on the speaker, but if you deliver a crappy event, well, then no one's going to come back the next year, or no one's going to want to leave and say, oh, I really got some new perspectives. What do you see some of the challenges are, Darren, with meeting professionals today when they go to select a speaker? Like, what do you think they're looking for?
Well, I think they want the takeaways. It's like, what are the challenges that their audience has? Like, what are they up against? What are they up against now that someone could serve them? So the event planners, their whole reason for being in place is to serve the audience. But the best way they're served is if we solve their problems, get them inspired, and get them back to work or back to their jobs, or if they're an entrepreneur, back to their business with a whole new mindset and the enthusiasm to do some new stuff in new ways.
Yeah, I agree. Because one of the things that makes you and I successful when we work with meeting planners is we are more interested in delivering a customized presentation based on their needs. So we do a pre-event questionnaire, we mystery shop, we ask them questions, we meet with their planning committee, and we really make sure that whatever their specific outcomes are. Now, there are a lot of keynote speakers that don't do that, right? There's the hit and runs, the ones that come in, they tell the story how they climbed Mount Everest, and it's a great story, but you know, great. So how does that apply in business, leadership, and life, right? How does someone actually take that and do it. I'm not saying for those listeners, if you climbed Everest and that's your keynote speaker, don't give us any crap. Okay. We're just telling you that it's a different model, right? So I think, yeah.
Ford too, the same thing just happened at a convention I spoke at in Orlando, and I was there, and my fee's pretty high, but there's some people there who are getting paid more than me.
It's really high.
I actually had the event planner come up to me and say, one of the attendees came over and said, "I'm glad we saved the best for last." Now, they were getting paid more than me, but here's what I did. I think if you're truly a professional, it's our responsibility to connect our content to their world.
Absolutely.
And so I came in a couple days early. I interviewed 10 people ahead of time, and then I spent a day with them. So if I have another keynote back to back, I can't do that. But when I can, spending an extra day with them, I get to tag into the opening keynote, tie it to my message, the other ones, and tie it to my message. And I really think in most cases, they appreciate the effort. Ford, when I first started doing that, I had a keynote, I won't mention her name, but she actually called me up because she got booked at the same event the year later. And she's like, "You did so much work. I don't want to have to do that. You got to stop doing that." I was like, too bad.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, I recently spoke for Freddy's frozen custard brand and Duck Donuts and a few others out there. And I actually go in ahead of time. If I go in, I always, because the travel is so terrible right now, you always want to go in a day ahead of time. So if I'm going to be there anyway, I want to go to the networking reception the night before. I want to hear the president's message or the state of the economic economy or whatever they're going to deliver before I speak. Because if you don't listen to the speakers before you and you don't know what else is on the agenda, it's real easy to make a misstep, right? And so being able to tie it back, to professionally tie it back in such a way, because as keynote speakers, as excellent professionals, our job is really twofold. We're a third-party endorsement for the messages that the brand wants to deliver, because we can come in and say things differently that the brand can't always say. Maybe they're already saying it to maybe their leadership is already saying it to their staff, or the association is saying it to their members, or their company is saying it to their business units if they're a chain store or whatever. And it's really important that we be a third-party endorsement, but as well as bring in a fresh, unique perspective. So I always like to say that what makes me different as a keynote speaker is, yes, I'm going to be inspiring and motivational, and they're going to have a fun time, and it's very interactive, but they're also going to leave with tangible takeaways that they can actually go back and make the difference. And building my foundation on that has allowed me to continually get booked, right? And because, if you and I both work with speakers bureaus, right? And there's some speaker bureaus that are probably watching this broadcast. And, speakers bureaus, for those of you that don't know, are agencies that represent hundreds, if not more, speakers. And their job is to match speakers for a bigger event where they're looking for different types of speakers. Maybe they're looking for DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, a leadership speaker, customer experience, sales, marketing, whatever the topic is, right? And then we have to be properly represented at that bureau, because the bureau is the one building that relationship. So as keynote speakers, we have two jobs. One, we need to be more positioned in the marketplace so people know what we do, but we also have to make sure that we're represented by the equitable, or the bureaus that are reliable. I want to say it carefully here, because there are bureaus that are just order takers, right? They just wait for the phone to ring and then they book a speaker. But we're talking about the ones that are active. I don't want to name names right now because we've got several of our friends on this call. But certainly, the more we can become a partner for them, and that's what we do for bureaus. I mean, I got a booking hold this morning. I just filmed a booking hold for a conference that I'm going to let them know. Hey, thank you for the hold. I'm excited about the opportunity to speak for your conference. Here's a couple of my popular topics. And here's, below on this page is my speaker demo video. So it's a great way to build that relationship. So the point I was making is, a professional delivers a professional experience. An amateur delivers an amateur experience. And there's a lot of experts, Darren, and you know this too. A lot of conferences are hiring bloggers or influencers or someone who's an expert. But being an expert doesn't mean they can actually deliver. What are your thoughts about expertise versus presentation skills, and where's that fine line fits? What do you think?
Well, I always teach other speakers that the most important part of the presentation is the thought process in the listener's mind. So keeping somebody's attention on TikTok for 3.5 seconds is very different from, an Instagram post is you give people an hour, you've got to know what you're doing. You've got to understand not just what you're saying, but how it's heard. And I think there's a lot that happens in the ether there that gets messed up. Now, that doesn't mean an influencer couldn't learn the skill, but you're not inherently given that skill because you can do a TikTok or an Instagram post or a YouTube video or something, or a TED Talk. Like, hey, TED is amazing. It's a great platform. But when you're getting paid, like you said,
Right.
people, event planners want that tangible takeaway that they can put into action and have the inspiration to try something new or a different way.
Yeah, and there's two spectrums. There's the celebrity speakers, which I don't consider myself a celebrity speaker. I know my mentor in my mastermind group would say, hey, you need to build your reputational equity so you're seen more as a celebrity in your space. I'm known in my spaces, a couple spaces that I'm known well, but I wouldn't say that you and I are celebrities. Even though our fees are quite high, that doesn't mean we're a celebrity. We're brought in to fill a certain role, right? And we always see these speakers who are brought in at maybe double or triple our fee that are a celebrity, but they can't present. They're there just because they're a celebrity and everybody join, they come to the conference, but the celebrity speakers in most cases really don't get your bang for your buck. It's like when I have an agency at Prime Concepts, primeconcepts.com. And, there are people who come to us and say, well, we should hire a celebrity to promote our product. And I always say there are some advantages if that person is going to do a post on their social media for influencing and reaching millions of people. That is true. But just having a celebrity endorsement doesn't necessarily translate all the time as the way it should. And then you have the conferences that hire the experts. They wrote a book, but they put people into a coma. It's like, oh my goodness, they're smart intellectually, but they can't always deliver from stage. So the reason events should hire professional speakers. And of course, you and I are both members of the National Speakers Association. We hold the designation as certified professional speakers. I'm in the Hall of Fame. You're a world champion. So they can easily vet us, right? And what would you say, how important is a speaker demo to getting booked by a meeting professional?
Well, I think it's critical to having that world-class demo because you're up against other speakers at your fee level. So having the demo is important, but also if you're an event planner, like you said, vetting is important. Like take the time, invest the time to find out who else has brought them in.
Right.
How was their experience? Because again, a sizzle reel can be awesome, but anyone, if they invest enough money, can create a smoking sizzle reel. But can they deliver? So if you're an event planner, you got to vet, ask around, talk to people, talk to planners. If you're an event planner, like join the event plan MPI, the Event Planning Association, so you can talk to more people.
Meeting Professionals International. They changed it from planners to professionals. It's okay. They know.
Is critical to open them up to considering you. There's a lot of Toastmasters that think, oh, you've got the trophy. I want the trophy. No one's ever hired me because of a freaking 35-pound piece of lucite. Now, in the Toastmaster world, yes. In the paid world, no.
Right.
It may just get them to look at my sizzle reel, but then my sizzle reel's got to be good. And then my promo reel with my content has to be like, ooh, our people need that.
Well, I just want to send an echo out that, you and I represent our own opinions, that this should be taken for informational purposes only. We're not slamming any other speakers. I mean, the biggest difference is there's just different kinds. And so let's put a pin in this chapter. So the first chapter of our conversation today was why should event planners, meeting professionals, and organizations hire professionals? And the sum is that it delivers real value and it protects your investment on your meeting, conference, or event. All right, so I'm going to shift a little bit because you and I both, speakers come to us because they're like, well, how do I grow a speaking business? What do I do to get seen as a speaker, author, expert, or consultant? And right now we know that it's really easy to get into this business, right? I mean, everybody and their brother, anybody with a webcam or a microphone calls themselves a speaker nowadays, right? Just a business card, right? So what do you feel are some of the foundational elements or the mistakes? What do you think are some of the mistakes that people make when they get into this business?
One is I think they think people are event planners are investing in a speech. They're not investing in the speech. They're investing in the result and the experience of the speech. So
Right,
you
for
can't.
their members and their staff or whoever's coming to the event, right?
Yeah, and you can't be trying to sell the speech. You got to
Right,
sell the outcome, sell the
right.
result. I think another mistake is just because you're an influencer or you have 5,000 Facebook friends, they're not really friends, and that's not really making you an influencer. So understanding that even if you are a genuine influencer with millions of followers, the platform is different. So what you had to learn to be great at TikTok or Instagram, well, guess what? You're in a new platform. There are new rules, new things that work, and new things that are important. So your speech is actually your number one marketing tool. And I think, like you mentioned earlier, celebrity speakers, like Mark Eaton, rest his soul, was amazing because he was a world-class athlete and he knew he needed a coach. The
Yep.
problem is a lot of world-class athletes who become speakers, they forget that, and they just think they're celebrity alone. Yeah, it might get you a few bookings, but if you're good, if you're world-class, that's going to multiply. And planners know planners.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know if
think
I'm.
no, you did. No, it's great. I think one of the other mistakes that people who get into this business make is they listen to the wrong advice, right? Because I can't open up my Facebook feed or TikTok or any, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, you name it. I can't open up my feed without someone saying, "How do you get paid to speak?" Or "I can build your brand in 2 days," or "I can." And you and I like to refer to these as speaker parasites. So full disclosure, Darren is the founder of an organization called Stage Time University. There's a link in the descriptions. You guys can go check it out later. But Stage Time University is an online community for both the speaking profession, learning to speak and present with presence, as well as the business side of it, business mastery, which I partner with him on as a strategic partner on the business side. But you guys can go look at Stage Time University later. But back to the point, the mistake that speakers make is they're drinking the wrong Kool-Aid or they're listening to the wrong advice. And they think just because they went to a weekend seminar that now they know how to become a keynote. And some weekend seminars, I'm not saying they're all bad, but there's a lot of them that aren't. And so you really want to make sure you do your due diligence. So one, listening to the wrong advice. But what are some other mistakes that you've seen speakers do make? Certainly with working with thousands of speakers through Stage Time University. What are some of the other mistakes that speakers, authors, and experts make when they start this business?
I think they're not getting a mentor soon enough or a coach soon enough. Like you said, someone who's been there and done that. That is different. That's one of the mistakes I made. For 9 years, I was a DIYer. I tried to figure it out on my own. My mentor early on said, stage time, stage time, stage time. So I got hyper focused on that, which wasn't bad. But then I thought I could just figure it out myself. So having that person that could show you the adjustments you need to make. And I think that's a big problem is whether it's marketing or the skill, people aren't getting the advice from qualified coaches on what adjustments to make. Because just because you have a demo video doesn't mean it's good, doesn't mean it's engaging, and doesn't mean people want more. The front page of your website. Ford, I have seen you critique websites, and in 5 minutes, you can rock their world because they just have something out of order, or there's something critical missing, or most importantly, your headline is boring. The headline is critical. Think about this. If you're an event planner, we have to take the marketing materials from you in order to sell you. So you don't only have to have great materials to sell yourself, but an event planner, a speaker bureau doesn't want to work with you unless you got a great title that's going to resonate with their audience to get the audience to want to show up. Part of our job is to help the event planner get people to show up. So one of the things I started doing early on in the early days of YouTube is I started creating a custom video for the event planner to help them get butts in seats.
Yes, I always do that for a teaser video. I posted a few on my YouTube channel. I don't post them because they're client specific. But one of the things we do is obviously once we're booked is we create a teaser video for them to promote out to encourage our participation in the event. And what I do when I know there's a lot of other speakers on the platform I will make the event, the sizzle reel, about their conference and say, I'll be speaking on this. Join us for networking. There's going to be awards. There's a golf tournament. There's, whatever, there's a vendor expo, whatever the different components are. So I know we're reaching up the time of our live broadcast here. I know that if people have, we're not ending yet. We can go on as long as we want, Darren. But I would just say, for those of you that are interested, if you want to check us out and know more about Stage Time University, make sure you click the links below. But yeah, we can continue the conversation. This is our show. We can do whatever the heck, whatever we want to talk about.
Nice. Well, I just wanted to mention too, one of the big fees that we see is, one of the big problems we see is people charging too little.
Yeah, I know.
Charging way too little. And, the problem is, one of the reasons I love self-development is I came in with super low self-esteem. That's why I needed it. That's why I was drawn there. But then we have that imposter syndrome. We think, well, am I really worth it?
Right. Why should someone pay me 15 to 25,000 or 50,000? Why should they pay to listen to me?
Why would they pay that? Now, if you're just getting started and you're trying to figure out your story, okay, then it may be less than that fee we're talking about. But it's probably more than you think. If you're already a coach, already a consultant, already an expert, you got expertise where you've helped companies build their business, like you got to have a fee that they go, whoa, we need this and they're worth it. Otherwise, I'm going to help you build your company. How much you charging? $1,500. What? Read your own book.
Yeah, I think that's so great. So we do have Judy Jurnet in here. So great to see your speaker buddies. Hey, Judy. Judy is from California. If you don't know her, she's a master at PR and publicity. So she's joined us. So she says hi. So we want to shout out to her hi and tell her thanks, Judy, for joining. So let's talk about. So we talked about why they need successful speakers, why they need professionals. On that fee comment, so I was working with one of my consulting clients who, worked through my business accelerator package, and they said, why should I pay you 10 grand for your consulting? Because, this is public. You guys can go to my website and you'll see my consulting starts at 10 grand. And people always say, well, Ford, you're kind of arrogant. Why 10 grand? Well, if I'm going to go make you 50 to 100,000 or more, why shouldn't you invest in 10 grand? Right. So it's just like the speakers. They're not paying the 25,000 for our keynotes. They're paying for the 25 years of experience that allows us to craft a compelling message delivered in an impactful way that actually moves the needles for the organization. And so I was working with this speaker and I said, what are you? And he said, well, I'm a leadership speaker. And I said, okay, what does that mean? Well, he couldn't really articulate it. And I said, okay, well, do you know the difference between a speaker and leadership? I said, because here's the problem. When it comes to leadership, meeting planners and even organizations, they don't know the difference between a leadership speaker, a change speaker, a management speaker, a team building speaker, or a culture speaker. So those are, or customer experience, like those are 5 or 6 different topics. So it's really important that as experts that we position ourselves as a prime resource professional that solves problems, not the label. Right. So obviously we like even on this broadcast here, you'll see that I put Business Growth Accelerator and I put Stage Time University for you. You're also a keynote speaker at DarrenLaCroix.com, but I wanted to position Stage Time University because that's part of your brand. You have 2 brands, right? You do the keynote speaking and you've got a new book. So let's see if I can grab it. So here it is, everybody. So it's right on my shelf. So we've got Darren's new book, 17 Minutes to Your Dream, How to Get the Breakthroughs You Need. So this book is positioning you as a keynote speaker, right? And then I've got my book, which I'll probably break my headset trying to reach for. So I've got my book on here, Superpower, right? So a superhero's guide to business, leadership, and life. So this is a good book. I hope you can get both of our books on Amazon and you can go check us out. But part of the reason we have those books is because event planners want to have book signings. They want to have a gift that they can give to all their attendees. And it's a way to continue the journey of the learning beyond just the speech. So that's why I published mine. I know that's why you published yours. So we're not trying to be, Lord of the Rings and sell 2 billion books. We're trying to make sure that we have content that positions us as experts, not just speakers. So certainly when we're talking to an event, we're a speaker, right?
Yeah, and I think another mistake that people make too as speakers is they don't look deep enough down the road as to what's going to happen with their title, like getting clear on their message. What is your message? Because it's not just your message to the audience, it's the planner's message to why they should come to that conference. And I think you and I have seen this before that, like you just said, leadership speaker. Well, there's a billion of them out there. What makes you different? What kind of leadership? Where in leadership do you fit in? So I think a big mistake is not investing enough time in getting help in clarifying their unique, as you say, the unique selling proposition.
Yeah, one of our colleagues. So I'm going to actually, this is going to be like an oxymoron, or I'll just call myself a moron. That's fine. So one of our friends is Waldo Waldman, right? He's a very famous motivational speaker, leadership speaker. You can check him out, Waldo Waldman or yourwingman.com. But one of the things that Waldo always says to our group of speakers is, are you a thought leader or a thought repeater? Now that's his words. I'm repeating it. So it's kind of like, that's why I said I'm kind of a moron for saying that. But it really makes sense. Are you a thought repeater or are you leading the thought on your topic? So, one of my mentors, Randy Gage, always talks about is, how are you building reputational equity? What are you doing on Facebook? What are you doing on YouTube? What are you doing in your community? Now, for me, I don't have a huge following on YouTube because my keynote fees are in a certain niche, and I'm very well known in my niche. But now one of the things I'm doing is building that. Now, for you, you've got millions of views on YouTube. And what are some of the subscriber numbers that you have on your channel right now? Do you know how many subscribers you have and views?
That's a good question. Let me look up real quick here.
So while he's looking that up, let's talk about what the point is here. So if you're trying to vet an expert, you're going to Google them, right? You're going to look at their digital footprint. Well, what's their digital footprint? Well, that's their website, their Google reviews, their business directory listings, the search engine results pages, and their social media. There's 5 different things. So if you're a business owner on this, watching this right now, or part of a leader in leadership in your organization, you've got to make sure that you have a digital footprint that represents your brand. But going back to what Waldo's comment was, is are you really leading thought? And one of the reasons that we're going live weekly on Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Central is to lead the thought. So, every week it's going to be different. We're going to have different guests on. We're going to talk about different things. Sometimes it might be just me. So it'll just be me on the call like this, and I'm doing Fortify Live, just talking about an issue that's relevant to organizations, or I'll be having a featured guest like I have today with Darren on the call. So Darren, how many views do you have?
So interesting. I just looked this up. So I have 23,000 subscribers, millions of views. Here's an interesting one that came in today, Ford. In the past 30 days, I've had 30,000 views, 193,000 minutes watched. That's
Right.
just, and I haven't really done much this week or this month.
Now, are you monetizing your YouTube channel so you get checks?
I do get checks. Yes.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and it's the same thing with my wife. And my wife hasn't, I love her, but she hasn't put any there's a freaking word again. But she hasn't put any videos up, in like 6 years. She had to put one video up because she was going to lose her channel because, if you don't post after so many years, they take your channel away. But she has, I think over 8 million views and 17,000 subscribers. And she was just putting up YouTube content and how-to content. So going back to the reason I brought that up is, as experts, are you really building brand equity? Are you building reputational equity? And so I'm going live more now for several reasons. One, I'm going to be creating courses for LinkedIn Learning, and I need to be able to show that we're delivering real content. So that's why I'm going more live. And I should have been doing this years ago. I've been helping so many clients with their business. It's like the plumber with leaky pipes, right? I'm doing it for everybody else, and I need to start doing it for myself. So full disclosure, that's why we're going live. And I thought, hey, what better way than to bring you on and to have you share. So what are some closing thoughts as we come to the top of a half an hour here? It went quick, didn't it?
It did. I just love conversations. I always learn something inspired. And look, if you haven't seen Ford's keynotes, I partner with him because I love him. He's funny, he's fun, but most importantly, you leave thinking differently. For what we're talking about today, I think, event planners, companies and corporations, it's an investment. Why would you spend $100,000 in the hotel and flying people there or whatever your investment is and not use the critical investment of the expert that you're bringing in, but vet them? Take the time to vet them. A million, a bazillion views on TikTok doesn't mean they can hold the audience's attention. So spend some time, and doing your due diligence pays off. If you're interested in learning more about how we make good speakers unforgettable, please check out Stage Time University. You want to get paid to speak? This is what Ford and I do. I hate the old adage, those who can't do, teach. I love what we do, which is we're out there in the real world and then teach what we're doing and the changes we make as we go.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of myths out there, and that's a myth I'd like to bust. Those that can't do, teach. Those that can't teach, consult. Well, okay. Well, I don't think that that's really true if you're actually delivering great value. And at the end of the day, if someone wants to make more money, they have to add more value. We got a question here from John or from Jenna. What's the best way to vet a good speaker? Well, obviously, you're going to we mentioned it earlier, you're going to Google them, and you're going to look at their website, and then you're going to look for their video, because most demo videos for speakers are used to disqualify the speaker, not qualify them. And so it's really important that you build your footprint out there, and you share more great content. All right. So that's what we have. Yeah, go ahead, Darren.
I would just piggyback on that too. I would look at maybe their testimonial quotes and do a search on that person on LinkedIn, and then ask that person, what was it like to work with them? Because I've heard horror stories from speaker bureaus of some of them are, they were good, but man, they weren't worth the effort or something like that.
Yeah.
So find out.
Yeah, it's so interesting. On all my pre-event calls, one of the things I always ask a meeting professional is I'll say, who else have you hired? And I'll say, who else have you hired? Or I'll say, what was the experience like? And it's always interesting because some very well-known speakers are what we call PITAs. They're a big pain in the ass. So I'm going to say ass. I don't care. It's my show. Okay. Cancel me if you want, but it's my show. But they're PITAs, right? They're just pains in the butt. That doesn't mean they're not great to work with, but they're very difficult. They need certain things before and after the speech, and they're hard to work with. So you have to balance, life's too short to work with people that are divas. Katrina Mitchell, the chief matchmaker at Franchise Speakers, who I get booked a lot from at franchisespeakers.com, which I'm going to give her a shameless plug here. She's a bureau. You can check her out. She has other great speakers, friends of mine like Greg Nathan and Scott Greenberg, and there's a few others that are, that she books. But what I would say is, it really comes down to working with speakers that are sincere about delivering real value. And that's what we've been today. So we spent the last 30, 32, 33 minutes talking about why should you use a professional speaker? And then if you are in this business, how do you elevate yourself? Because there's a lot of great experts who come into this business and they think, oh, I should just charge a small amount because I'm new. No, you should charge based on the value you're delivering. If you're delivering more value, you should charge more. Now, if you can't deliver the value, I don't care how smart you are. It doesn't matter how many years you have. If you can't actually deliver, and there's a difference between delivering through video or on stage, versus, in a different medium. And so, well, that's pretty much all we have time for now. Darren, they can check you out. I put the links below. If anybody has any questions or comments, put them below. We are going to answer all the comments, and we will take the questions and answer them again on future lives. So Darren, I suggest you come back once a month. We can go live. I'm going live weekly, and we don't have to wait for Wednesdays at 11. If you want to go live, let's just we'll change the branding for Stage Time University, and let's go live and use my account because I'm paying for the dang thing. Let's use it. Okay.
All right. And always love working with you, my friend.
All right. So that's it for now. I'm going to go ahead and switch back to the main screen. So I hope you've enjoyed Darren LaCroix and us today talking and delivering great value. I'll look forward to seeing you every Wednesday at 11 o'clock Central, where we go live on a topic of business growth, leadership, and life. Bye for now.